Hi, and welcome to another video in the RHCSA series. Today's video is on the learning environment setup. It's kind of module 2A really. As a prerequisite for the setup of the first module, we need to set up the actual learning environment. So what we use is I've got a Windows 11 system, and we have already installed VirtualBox. The Oracle VirtualBox you can download on the internet. You can actually see my other videos on how to set that up. I can link to that in the below. And once you have that set up, you need to download the Red Hat Enterprise Linux 10 version on the internet. I can again link to that on how you can get a developer license. And finally, we can use Oracle VirtualBox to virtualize your system. So let's go ahead and jump into Oracle VirtualBox. So once I've got the VirtualBox manager in, I'll just open a new machine. I'll call it Red Hat 10. I'll call it main because this will be my main image. I'll select the ISO image I created earlier. I will skip the unattended installation because it doesn't seem to work in this current version, at least at the moment. So it's Linux, Red Hat, and Red Hat 64-bit. This is all good. You can see it's 64-bit by the name in the DVD there. Unattended install is grayed out because I unticked it. I then want to select the hardware. I want at least 4096, so I can get the correct, at least that minimum memory. Processor, I'll use all of them. I won't worry about EFI. And then we're going to set at least 60 gig, but I would probably set 80, and you don't need to pre-allocate. I mean, that all should be okay. So then what we'll do is we'll power it on, and you'll see this grub menu when you first boot. The first option you want to select is just to install. You could test the media, but if you download it off the internet, you can probably check the checksum rather than going and doing that. What I'll do is I'll just make this full screen quickly. And we can see it's just loading up. Okay, so the first page you'll appear when you get to the setup is what language, obviously. In my case, I'll select English Australia. Okay, and each of these items, it's worth just clicking through. Some of these things might have already been picked up, details that might be correct for you, but it's worth just double checking and making sure they all look good. For me, English Australia is the correct keyboard layout. Language support that's the only language I really want supported on my operating system. And time and date, that's the correct region and city. So I'll let it do automatic date and time, which is quite nice and easy. I can connect it to Red Hat. I haven't connected it yet. I may do that shortly. I'll go ahead and do that. So in here, you're just going to put the Red Hat developer details you've created created earlier. You can see my video on how to do that. Or again, I'll link that below on how to do that for pretty much for the older Red Hat 8. But as I mentioned, it's very similar. Okay, so I've just gone and registered that with my account details. I then go and select the installation source, which will be your DVD, which you've virtually put into this device. And then you've got software selection here. In this case, we want a server with GUI. Could do a server, this is the more lightweight version with no graphical interface. I'm keeping a graphical interface as for part of the videos it might be easier to show you on the graphical user interface. You are allowed to use the user interface on the exam, so it may be easier to have that option, but obviously this is the general one, which is what you'd install in real life, will be a server installation. You can go ahead and select some of these additional options here that you just tick boxes for additional features, but in this case I won't tick anything in here. I think we have that looks all good. So I'll just click done in this select option here. At the moment we have all of these correct. This one is saying automatic partitioning. In most cases this is okay. Automatic, we can even go custom if you want to. Let's have a look at the disk summary in here. We've got a single disk and it's 80 gig. It looks all good. For simplicity at this point, I would just select automatic because we don't want to go through and look at LVMs and stuff at this stage. We'll just do automatic and we'll talk about that in a future video. So just click done. So that's now happy. Kdump is enabled. That's fine. We can leave that enabled. Network and host name. We've got an IP address assigned to it. A default route and the DNS. At the moment, that's all good. We've got to set a host name for this system. So I'll just set this as RHEL 10 main.local and just hit apply. And that's kind of set the host name on it. Fantastic. So if I click done. So far so good. Right, user settings. We have root account and no user created. So this definitely has to be resolved before we can continue on. So we have to set a root account and we need to set a password here. Okay, so generally we don't allow root SSH login with a password. It's best the recommendation is you log in using your own user and then you can elevate to root if you need to. So we can leave this unticked because I don't recommend it. So if we go just done, and then we need to create a user now because otherwise we can never SSH in. So I'll just set my username. That's fine. We will tick the box to add administrative privileges. So that means they can sudo into root and we require a password. So again, I'll set a password for this user. And in the advanced field is things around you can set specific user IDs and stuff, which we don't really need to worry about yet. And also the group membership is fine by default. So I'll just hit begin installation and then we just essentially wait for a while and it will complete the installation, finish up. Yeah, now it's finally completed. It took around 10 minutes or so. It obviously may take longer for you, but essentially watching the blue bar go across the screen, not very exciting. Hence why I cut it from the video. So I'll just click reboot, and it should then reboot into a redhat 10 environment. Right, so I've got the login page. Looks like I've got a nice typo there. We've got a capital N. I'll click in there and I'll just put my password in. Just skip that. So we've got a red hat here. I can see at the moment my mouse is kind of stuck within this console, and the only way I can get out is the right control button. So the problem is at the moment it's not got VirtualBox tools installed. So let's go ahead and get that. There's a few things we have to do before that will completely work. So let's go ahead and do those steps, and then this system will be essentially ready. Alright, so I'll just do Control F to get out of the full screen, and then I'll just do Insert Guest Edition CD Image. Awesome. So probably the first thing to do is go into the terminal. And we have to install some prerequisites. So this is the terminal window. What I can first do is just make this slightly bigger. Size, let's make it quite a bit bigger. Select. Maybe that's a bit too big now. Okay. Awesome. So we have some prerequisites for the install. So we'll learn a lot of this stuff later, but first we're just going to do a sudo, which means super user do. So as you can see in this terminal here, I have here my username so that's where I am, what system, and I'm on at the moment is redhat 10 -main, that's the system name. And then we have a squiggly line here, which represents my current location, which is my home directory. And then this $sign, which means I'm currently not a super user. I'm just a standard user. So any of the commands like installations and anything that might make a change to the actual system, we would need to do a super user do, which is a sudo for short. And then we're going to run dnf, which is the installer. We're then going to tell it to install. And then these are the packages I'm going to install. So make gcc kernel-headers kernel-devel or developer tools perl dkms and bzip2. Some of these may be installed, some of these may not, so it's just to make sure you do that. So this is the standard message you'll see when you first sudo ever on the system. It's telling you the usual details. Be careful what you type in. It could be dangerous. So I'll just put my own password in, not the root user password, because it's my own account can sudo. It will then go ahead and do the actions I've requested it to do. So again, this may take a minute or so to just download. So I've got no match for, let's remove dkms, I may not need it. Okay, it's happier now. It's installing Perl and Perl modules, among other things. To do that, let's see how we go on without dkms. Okay, looking it up, it looks like you need to install a different software repository to get dkms. So I'm hoping I don't have to do that. Let's try without it, and yeah, see how we go. DKMS is basic dynamic kernel module support. We may or may not need it. Well, let's see how we go. I'll try the installation of the Oracle VirtualBox, and if that works without it, great. If not, we'll go ahead and install it as part of this video. This will also, this option here, you can say yes or Y to it and press enter. But the option here is basically saying, do you trust Red Hat? In this case, we can actually, if you wanted to look it up, you can look up the GPG key and stuff. In this case, we know it's a Red Hat, so I'm pretty okay to trust that. And again, we've got another secondary key they have here, which again, we trust. It's then now going to actually install the packages. This should be a bit quicker than the download. Hopefully we get a nice success message after this completes. Because it's installed something to do with the kernel, we'll have to reboot. So I'll just do a sudo, again super user do, and reboot. Simple as. Okay, once it's rebooted, we'll just log in again, and then we'll attempt the installation of VirtualBox, or additions they call it. All right, awesome. Just again, devices, let me just make sure. Oh, I need to insert it again. Looks like it removes it every time. Let's see. Okay, again, terminal. Let's make that again. Okay, so we've inserted the CD-ROM back into the device to install VirtualBox tools. So let's go ahead and go to CD. I think it's media. Run. I think it might be run media. Yep. Okay, so CD means change directory. So I'm changing where I'm located. So as I mentioned earlier, this symbol here means that I'm in the my current directory is my home directory. We got CD to change directory. I'm changing to /run, which is a specific directory in the system. We're in another folder called media and another folder called cengland. So obviously that's my own run directory. Okay, and then we can do a ls, which lists what's in there. And then we can do another cd to go inside that cd and do another ls. And we can see here we have a few different options. What we want to do now is sudo and then a dot to say we're running from this current directory, and a slash, and then VBoxLinuxAdditions. You can use tab to autocomplete .run. So it should look something like that. If you click enter, again it's going to ask for the sudo password. It will then go ahead and install it. Fairly sure I installed the kernel headers. Let's go and see if we've installed it. Kernel headers. Oh, install. It's already installed. Let's check we installed the kernel-devel as well. Oh, it keeps losing the install. That's installed as well, so that's generally enough. Let's just check the correct version is being installed. So uname. Okay, let's go back to the install. So what we can do is let's try and install the kernel development tools in a different way. So dnf install, then kernel-devel hyphen, and we're trying to install this specific version. So we do a tiny bit of code. So uname -r. So it's going to install the kernel development tools for the exact kernel that's currently running. So it's reporting it's not installed. So this may be the solution here. Awesome. Okay, one more attempt at this. So I'm rerunning the VBox Linux Additions. I use the up arrow to actually select the previous run command. So you can use the up and down arrows in the command line to just quickly select something you've run before. This looks a lot more successful. So it's currently building the kernel modules, which is a good sign that it's going to work. So let's give it a minute or so, and hopefully we should have something completely built. It looks like it's working already. Okay. It's reloaded the kernel modules and it's installed. I can see already my mouse is able to switch between the consoles without having to do anything. One thing I can do now is resize my what I'll do is auto resize the guest display. Oh, that's so much better. So it's now actually full screen, which is make our lives a lot easier for the videos as well. Awesome. So the only other thing I would want to do in this video is to just change the network settings. In here at the moment it's NAT. What we'd want to do is actually set up a NAT network. If we set up a NAT network, we can then have more than one system on our network, and then we can have them connect together. So if I just click OK on that, that system will now be on the NAT network. There's not much else we need to do there. So that will about do it for this video. Thanks again for watching. I'll pop all the commands down in the comments below. Thank you again.